Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I'm your host Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Cologne. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover histories throughout local communities, highlighting the historic landmarks and uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days will be introducing and canvassing the churches of East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. So, summarize for us the Catholic churches throughout the town.
There are two of them. There's the St. Michael's Catholic Church, fairly easy to find. The modern version was made in 1970s, but there used to be an older one from the 1880s in a different part of East Longmeadow. And the modern one is quite gorgeous. It has an old bell from the old one. And I think the modern one looks like an inverted ship. And maybe it's for a reason, but it looks very gorgeous. The rectory is right nearby, and our social center is in another part of the town. So it's a nice little cemetery. But there's also the St. Paul's the Apostle Church, a Catholic church, which shares parishioners between East Longmeadow and Springfield. They are from 1960. It's found at 235 Dwight Road of East Longmeadow. It has a short steeple to it. It's in a very vernacular look. The back has a very enormous social hall, and the side has the rectory. All right, the cornerstone again says 1962. That's when they finally started it up. And they have a lot of statues around it. And they have one of the border markers of East Longmeadow from Springfield, which the border is right on the front lawn of the church. So that's a unique thing about it. Now, the Catholics were outnumbered by the Protestants in East Longmeadow, which was settled by a lot of Protestant ethnic groups, Swedish and Germans, for instance. So we're going to talk about the Protestant groups and some of the more obvious of the Protestant churches, but some not obvious. And we're also going to talk about, were there any Jewish synagogues to go to?
And can you portray the Protestant churches within East Longmeadow?
There's quite a few of them, so I'll give you a rundown. The First Congregational Church of East Longmeadow is one that's very obvious to find. It's right on the central location where all the streets come into one point in East Longmeadow. All right. And at one time, it was called the Second Congregational Church of Longmeadow because it was not until the 1890s that East Longmeadow broke off. The church was organized as a group in 1828. It's not at its original location, which was at a point lower down the hill. It was a point higher up the hill, moved down the hill in 1859. All right, and this was the first Protestant church of Longmeadow, and the group that wanted to start a new town used it as their meeting house up to 1882, until the real town hall could be built. Now the minister's house was on Prospect Street. It probably might still be around, it's hard to tell, but use my webpage to figure out a lot more information on this church here. All right, there's also the St. Mark's Episcopal Church on One Porter Road, which started in March of 1965. And there's a Greek Orthodox Church of St. Luke inside of the town of East Longmeadow. That's a beautiful modern church. It's on the southern border of East Longmeadow, right before you get to the Connecticut border. It's somewhat in the mission style, but also in a Romanesque style, so it really blends two styles together. Right, and it's very well kept, for sure. There's also the East Longmeadow First Baptist Church at 89 Meadowbrook Road from 1820. And they moved it out sometime in the 1970s out to another location on Parker Street. Okay, then there's the Adelphus Swedish Evangelical Lutheran Church, which nowadays, since the 60s, is a Grange Hall. But when it was at its location at 30 Sumner's Road, It was built in 1891, right? And it was for the Swedes of East Longmeadow, which they had a very high number of Swedish people coming to the town. And they were a group that did a lot of the mines for that brownstone. In 1961, they moved out to 181 Elm Street, and it was taken over by the Grange. But the church is still there, so you can visit it. It looks like a typical Swedish Lutheran church would look. I visited Sweden about 40 years ago, and I see churches that look just like this in the past.
And stick around, and we'll be right back after a quick break. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Cologne. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit HolyokeCanalTour.org or email bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com to book your private tour today. Getting back to our episode on the Churches of East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, we can clarify where those of Jewish faith would have gone to synagogue.
Easy solution. They would have gone to Springfield because Springfield had 8 synagogues to go to. So they had a wide choice of the type of Jewish synagogue to go to, and there's many, right? There's conservative and Orthodox and other types. So those 8 were all based in Springfield. Some moved to Longmeadow in recent decades, and all of them had either the cemeteries in Springfield or in West Springfield. So easy trip from East Longmeadow over.
And can you know any particular church that takes center stage in East Longmeadow?
Of course, there's one at the center of East Longmeadow that you can't possibly miss. And that's the First Congregational Church of East Longmeadow. It's at the meeting point of many different streets in there. It's kind of a landmark for East Longmeadow itself. And I have a wonderful map that I'll put a link to from this video when I place it onto YouTube, and you'll be able to see where the many different institutions were around this landmark. And the church is quite clearly marked off, Congregational Church. And it had a school, the meeting house nearby. It had a cemetery nearby, the Greenlawn Cemetery. But branching off of here were 7 streets. And so this is the center of East Longmeadow, and this church was the center not only of religious life, but of the geography of East Longmeadow and the central landmark of East Longmeadow for now many decades. And it's quite gorgeous.
And thank you for listening to our Canal Days podcast and episode on the Churches of East Longmeadow, Massachusetts, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past and the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Cologne, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at HolyokeCanalTour.org. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time.